The rain had turned Gresham's Crossing into a river of mud and misery, but the auction continued regardless. Corvin Ashford, Duke of Thornmere, pulled his cloak tighter against the downpour and wondered why he had come to this wretched place. The debtor's market was no place for a man of his station. The smell alone, unwashed bodies, rotting vegetables, and the sharp tang of desperation should have sent him back to his carriage within moments. But his housekeeper had been insistent. They needed servants, quiet ones, who wouldn't ask questions about the locked East Wing or the Duke's strange hours. The household agencies had stopped sending candidates months ago, driven away by rumors Corvin had no interest in dispelling. So here he stood, watching human beings sold like cattle, his stomach turning with each transaction. The auctioneer, a bloated man named Creedy, with teeth like rotting fence posts, dragged another debtor onto the platform. This one was a woman, small-framed and silent, her head bowed so low her face was hidden by dark hair. The rough sackcloth she wore hung from her shoulders like a shroud. "Lot 47, Creedy announced. "Female, age unknown, origin unknown. Found wandering the northern roads 3 weeks past. No papers, no claims, no speech. Mute or mad, take your pick," he laughed. "Starting bid, 5 coins. Silence. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Even among the desperate poor being sold today, this woman was considered worthless. No one wanted a servant who couldn't speak. Corvin watched her standing motionless in the rain, while water streamed down her bowed head. Something about her stillness caught his attention. It wasn't the defeated slump of other debtors. It was something else entirely. Control. Practiced, deliberate control. 5 coins, he heard himself say. Heads turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd. The Duke of Thornmere bidding on a worthless mute? Sold! Creedy slammed his gavel. To his grace, the Duke of Thornmere. Corvin made his way through the crowd. The holding area behind the platform was even grimmer. Wooden pens where debtors waited like livestock, chains connecting them to iron posts. The woman stood apart, unchained. Apparently Creedy hadn't considered her a flight risk. I am the Duke of Thornmere, Corvin said. You belong to my household now. Can you understand me? She didn't move. The dark hair still concealed her face. I asked you a question. Nothing. He stepped closer, reaching to lift her chin. The moment his fingers touched her jaw, she moved. Not away, but into him, her hand gripping his wrist with surprising strength. Her head lifted, and he saw her face clearly. She was younger than he'd assumed, perhaps 23, with high cheekbones and a delicate jaw that spoke of refinement. Her skin was pale, marked by fading bruises along her temple. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold. Gray, the color of storm clouds over the northern sea, and absolutely, terrifyingly aware. This was no madwoman. Those eyes held intelligence, calculation, and something like recognition. Release me, she said. Her voice was low and hoarse, but the accent was unmistakable. Highborn. Not just highborn. Royal. Corvin had heard that accent only once before, from the ambassador of Valdoria. Valdoria, the kingdom that had fallen 6 months past. The royal family slaughtered in a single bloody night. He released her wrist. You can speak, he said carefully. When I choose to. Who are you? No one of consequence. A debtor you purchased for 5 coins. The lie was delivered flawlessly, but Corvin knew deception when he heard it. Very well. He gestured toward his carriage. Come. She followed with a grace no common debtor could possess. Her bare feet made no sound in the mud. Her spine remained perfectly straight. As they walked, Corvin caught movement from the corner of his eye. A figure in a dark cloak stood at the edge of the crowd, watching with unusual intensity. The hood obscured the face, but the posture suggested a man, tall, broad-shouldered, deliberately still, watching her. Corvin quickened his pace, placing himself between the woman and the watcher. Instinct screamed that this woman was in danger, and that he had just made himself part of it. The carriage ride began in silence. The woman sat across from him, gaze fixed on the rain-streaked window. "You were being watched," Corvin said finally. "At the auction, a man in a dark cloak." She didn't react. "He was looking for you specifically, wasn't he?" Silence. Corvin leaned forward. "I paid 5 coins for you, which means your life belongs to me under the law. Whatever trouble you're fleeing, it's now my trouble as well." For a long moment, she didn't respond. Then she turned to face him. "You want the truth? You should have let Creedy sell me to the next bidder. You should turn this carriage around and return me to the auction block." "Why?" "Because everyone who helps me dies." She said it without emotion. 5 coins. Walk away now, while it costs you nothing more." The carriage hit a rut in the road. In the movement, her sleeve rode up, and Corvin saw it. A mark on her inner wrist, a tattoo in dark blue ink, a crowned serpent wrapped around a 7-pointed star. The royal seal of Valdoria. The seal that only members of the bloodline were permitted to bear. Corvin sat back slowly. The woman across from him was not just a debtor. She was the queen of Valdoria, the queen everyone believed was dead, and he had just bought her for 5 coins. Thornmere Manor rose from the mist like a creature from old legends. Dark stone, sharp towers, windows glowing amber against the gray afternoon. "Welcome to your new home," Corvin said, and the words felt absurd, given what he now suspected. She said nothing. She had not spoken since he saw the mark on her wrist. The carriage rattled through the iron gates. Servants emerged, footmen rushing out to meet them. "Your Grace," the head footman, Barlow, appeared. "We weren't expecting you until tomorrow." "Send for Mrs. Hatchley. Have a room prepared in the servants' quarters. We have a new addition to the household." Barlow's gaze moved to the woman, taking in the ragged sackcloth, the bare feet. His neutrality slipped into concern. "The servants' quarters, Your Grace?" "She is a debtor, purchased from Gresham's Crossing. She will work in the kitchens until further notice." Mrs. Hatchley appeared within minutes, a formidable woman in black bombazine, who had managed the household since Corvin's grandfather's time. "This is the new servant, Your Grace." "Yes. See that she's fed, clothed, and assigned to the kitchens. She doesn't speak much." "Does she have a name?" Corvin looked at the woman. She remained silent. "She will tell you when she's ready." His sister was waiting inside. "Well," Tamsin said, her dark eyes dancing with curiosity. "That was quite an entrance. Should I ask why you've returned from the debtor's market with a mystery woman who looks like she's been through a war?" "You shouldn't. But you will anyway." Tamsin fell into step beside him. At 19, she was too clever by half, and too curious for her own good. She was also the only person Corvin trusted completely. "She's not what she seems, is she?" "No. She's something else entirely." That night, Corvin made his way to the servants' quarters. He found her room easily, the smallest chamber at the end of the hall. He knocked once, softly. The door opened immediately. She had been given a simple gray dress, her dark hair now clean and braided. Without the dirt and rags, she looked exactly like what she was. A queen. "May I come in?" She stepped aside. The room was sparse, containing nothing that revealed who she might be. "I saw the mark on your wrist," Corvin said. "The royal seal of Valdoria, a mark that should have died with the rest of the royal family 6 months ago." Silence stretched between them. "You're clever," she said finally. Her voice was different now, stronger, stripped of weakness. Most men would have dismissed it as coincidence. "I'm not most men." "No, you're not. Tell me who you are. Your real name." She held his gaze for a long moment. Then she spoke. "My name is Vera. Vera of House Serene. First of my name. last surviving heir to the throne of Valdoria. She paused. And if anyone discovers I'm alive, they will kill everyone in this house to get to me. The coup, Corvin said slowly. The report said the entire family was executed. The reports were wrong. My mother, my father, my 2 brothers. They died that night. I watched it happen. A servant hid me in a wine cellar. I stayed there for 3 days, listening to soldiers search, stepping over the bodies of everyone I loved. And the usurper? Lord Rendrik Voss? Has agents everywhere. He won't rest until every member of House Serene is confirmed dead. Corvin absorbed this. A foreign queen, a political target in his household. The danger was immense. He should turn her away. Instead, he asked, "The man at the auction. One of Voss's?" "Almost certainly." "What do you want from me?" "Help me for 1 month. Let me stay here while I contact allies who might help me reclaim my throne. In return, I will give you something no other kingdom can offer." "And what is that?" "An alliance with the future Queen of Valdoria." Her chin lifted. "Valdoria's mines produce more iron and silver than the rest of the continent combined. Help me reclaim my throne, and I will make your duchy the most powerful in 5 kingdoms." It was an audacious offer. She was a fugitive queen with no army, no allies, no resources. But as Corvin looked into her storm-gray eyes, he saw determination he recognized. "1 month," he said. "You stay hidden as a servant. You tell no one who you are." "Agreed. We have a bargain, Your Majesty." She took his hand, her grip firm. "Vera," she corrected. "If I'm to be your servant, you should probably use my name." The next morning brought complications. "A gentleman arrived at dawn, Your Grace," Mrs. Hatchley announced. "Says he's from the Royal Registry, investigating reports of a foreign fugitive in the area. He's asking to inspect the household staff." Corvin set down his teacup with careful precision. "Show him to the blue parlor." The man waiting for him was exactly what he had feared. Tall, broad-shouldered, cold, calculating eyes that swept the room like a hawk searching for prey. "Your Grace," the man said, bowing minimally. "My name is Aldrin Merrick. I serve Lord Rendrik Voss of Valdoria. We have reason to believe a dangerous fugitive may be hiding in this region." In his pocket, Corvin's hand closed around a small object Tamsin had pressed into his palm. A locket bearing the royal seal of Valdoria. The locket she had found among Vera's rags. Corvin kept his expression neutral as the locket pressed against his palm. One wrong word, and the woman hiding in his kitchens would be dragged to her death. A fugitive? He allowed aristocratic irritation into his voice. How inconvenient. I was planning to go riding. Merrick's cold eyes narrowed. The fugitive is a woman. Young, dark-haired, possibly traveling under false pretenses. We believe she passed through Gresham's Crossing within the last week. Gresham's Crossing is 50 miles from here. What makes you think she would come to Thornmere? We're searching all estates in the region. Lord Voss is thorough. The way he said thorough made Corvin's skin crawl. Very well. Inspect the household if you must. The inspection took 2 hours, during which Corvin signed letters he barely read, maintained casual conversation with Tamsin, and pretended his world wasn't balanced on a knife's edge. Finally, Merrick returned, his expression sour. Your household appears to be in order. How reassuring. After the hoofbeats faded, Corvin allowed himself to breathe. She wasn't there, Tamsin said quietly. I moved her to the old dairy before the inspection began. Good. But that was too close. He looked at the locket in his palm. She can't hide in the kitchens forever. We need to change the situation. What are you thinking? A servant might be searched for. But a guest? A distant cousin visiting for the season? He met his sister's eyes. A lady nobody knows, sponsored by the Duke of Thornmere himself. Understanding dawned on Tamsin's face. Hide her in plain sight. It's the last place they'll look. Vera was sitting on an overturned milk pail when they found her in the old dairy. "The inspector is gone," Corvin said. "For now." "They always come back." "We're changing the plan. In 3 days, the Marchioness of Ashwick is hosting the first ball of the season. I intend to introduce you as my cousin's widow from the southern provinces." "I don't know anything about the southern provinces." "Then you'll learn. Tamsin will help you." "This is madness. If anyone recognizes me—" "No one in these regions has ever seen the Valdorian royal family in person," Tamsin interrupted. "Your portraits were destroyed in the coup." Vera was silent. Then, "Why are you doing this?" "Perhaps I don't like seeing innocent people hunted like animals." "That's naive." "I know you hid in a cellar for 3 days to survive. I know you've spent 6 months running. And I know that when you had nothing left, you still didn't beg. You negotiated." Corvin held her gaze. "That tells me everything I need to know about who you are." Something flickered in her eyes, the first stirring of trust. "I don't know how to thank you. Learn your cover story, survive the ball, then we'll discuss thanks." The transformation began at dawn. Tamsin descended upon Vera with fabric samples, fashion plates, and endless chatter about necklines and sleeve lengths. The modiste arrived that afternoon, Madame Breslin, who had dressed 3 generations of Thornmere ladies. "The bone structure," she murmured, circling Vera. "This is no country widow." "She spent years abroad," Corvin said smoothly. Madame Breslin's eyes were knowing, but she asked no questions. On the second day, a visitor nearly ended everything. Lord Harwick, an elderly neighbor, appeared unannounced. Corvin was receiving him in the library when Vera walked in, searching for Tamsin. "Good God," Lord Harwick breathed. "For a moment I thought—" He stopped, shaking his head. "You bear a striking resemblance to someone I once met. A lady of the Valdorian court." The room went still. Vera's expression remained pleasant. "I've never been to Valdoria, my lord." "Of course. Foolish of me. The Valdorian princess was dark-haired and gray-eyed, like yourself. But she'd be much younger. And dead. Poor girl." When Lord Harwick departed, Vera found Corvin in the library. "This is too dangerous. If an old man who met me once at court can nearly recognize me, what happens at the ball?" "Lord Harwick is particularly observant. Most people see what they expect to see." "And if they see through me?" Corvin set down his book. "Then we deal with it. But you can't hide forever." She moved to the window. "I keep thinking about my brothers. The youngest was only 14. He didn't understand what was happening." Corvin moved to stand beside her. "I heard him call for me," she whispered. "And I stayed hidden. I let him die." "You survived. That's what he would have wanted. Is it? You were unarmed, outnumbered. The last of House Serene would have ended that night." Something shifted in his expression. Recognition of shared grief. "There is no shame in survival," he said quietly. "My father taught me that." She turned to look at him, gray eyes glistening. "You really believe that?" "I do." Then Tamsin burst in. "Madame Breslin has finished the ball gown. You absolutely must see it." The moment shattered. The morning of the Ashwick ball, a letter arrived that made Corvin's blood freeze. It bore no signature, only an unfamiliar wax seal. "We know she is with you. Surrender her by midnight, or face the consequences. The serpent remembers." Corvin read it 3 times, then burned it to ash. The consequences were coming regardless. They might as well face them in style. Corvin did not tell Vera about the letter. He told himself it was to protect her. But part of him knew the truth. He didn't want to see the fear return to her eyes. The Ashwick ball was set to begin at 8. By 6, the household was in chaos. The gown was midnight blue silk, so dark it appeared almost black, until candlelight revealed hidden depths of sapphire and violet. Delicate silver embroidery traced patterns along the bodice that echoed the 7-pointed star of her house. Madame Breslin had known, and she had given Vera a piece of her identity to wear into battle. "You'll do," Corvin said when she descended the stairs, because if he said what he was actually thinking, he would never be able to unsay it. Vera's lips curved. "High praise from the Duke of Thornmere." The carriage ride was tense. Tamsin filled the silence with information about who would be attending. The Marchioness herself is the one to watch, Lady Orenthia Blackwood. She knows everyone, sees everything, and forgets nothing. If she accepts you, society will follow. "She's also Corvin's godmother," Tamsin added. Vera turned to him. "You didn't mention that. It didn't seem relevant." The ballroom was a glittering sea of silk and candlelight. Corvin felt Vera's hand tighten on his arm as they entered. "Breathe," he murmured. "You belong here." "I keep telling myself that." "Corvin, darling." Lady Orenthia Blackwood approached like a ship cutting through waves. Silver-haired, 70 if she was a day, but moving with the energy of a woman half her age, her pale eyes fixed on Vera with unsettling intensity. "So this is the mysterious cousin's widow." Lady Orenthia circled them slowly. "Southern provinces, I'm told. Recently bereaved." "That's correct, my lady," Vera said steadily. You have excellent posture. Where did you study deportment?" "My mother was quite strict." "And what was your mother's family name?" The question was a trap. "Devereux, my lady, a minor house. You wouldn't have heard of them." "I've heard of everyone. But you're right, I don't recognize the name." Lady Orenthia stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Don't insult my intelligence, child. I don't know who you really are, but you're no country widow." Corvin's heart stopped, but Lady Orenthia wasn't finished. "That said, I don't particularly care." She stepped back. "Corvin's judgment has always been sound. Just try not to cause too much scandal." She swept away. "She knows," Vera whispered. "She suspects. There's a difference. Lady Orenthia collects secrets. She won't spend this one unless it benefits her." "That's supposed to comfort me?" "She's also the only person who knew my father well enough to understand why I would take risks for a stranger." "Why would you?" "Because he did the same thing once. During the Thornmere uprising, he sheltered a family being hunted by the crown, hid them for months. That was treason. That was decency. My father believed protecting the innocent was more important than protecting himself." Corvin met her eyes. "I was raised to believe the same." Something softened in Vera's expression. "He sounds like an extraordinary man." He was. He died 3 years ago. A riding accident, they said, though I've always wondered. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. He lived according to his principles." The orchestra began a waltz, and Corvin offered his hand. "Shall we give them something to talk about?" She moved with him like she'd been dancing all her life. "You're good at this," he murmured. "I had excellent teachers." The waltz ended too soon, but before Corvin could lead her from the floor, another figure stepped into their path, beautiful in the cold, sharp way of a winter morning. Blonde hair coiled perfectly, blue eyes like chips of ice. Her smile showed too many teeth. "Your Grace, how delightful to see you finally emerge from your hermitage, and with such interesting company. Lady Margot, may I introduce Mrs. Vera Ashford, my late cousin's widow." "Widow? How tragic." Lady Margot's eyes swept over Vera with disdain. "I don't believe I've heard of the Ashfords of the southern provinces." "The southern branch has kept a low profile," Vera replied pleasantly. "Something about preferring honest work to social climbing." Lady Margot's smile froze. "How charmingly rustic. I do hope you won't find our society too overwhelming." "I'm sure I'll manage. After all, true breeding shows itself in conduct, not conversation." For a moment, Corvin thought Lady Margot might actually hiss. Then she forced a laugh and swept away. "She's going to make trouble," Vera said quietly. She's been making trouble since we were children. A commotion near the entrance drew their attention. Lord Aldrin Merrick, representing the interests of Lord Rendrick Voss of Valdoria. Vera's hand clamped onto his arm. He's here, she breathed. He found me. He found the region. He doesn't know you're here specifically. Corvin covered her hand with his. Don't look at him. You are a widow from the southern provinces. You have never seen him before. I watched him kill my brother, and he will pay for that. But not tonight. Tonight, you survive. Merrick entered with predatory confidence, his cold eyes searching the crowd. We need to move, Corvin murmured. No, her voice was quiet but firm. If I run every time he appears, I'll be running forever. He's looking for a frightened fugitive, not a confident widow dancing with a duke. Her eyes blazed with determination. Dance with me again, in the center of the floor where everyone can see. It was madness. Corvin took her hand and led her back onto the floor. The music swelled into a country dance. Corvin watched Vera navigate the pattern, smiling at strangers, executing each step with grace. Merrick circled the edges, studying faces. Twice, his gaze passed over Vera without pausing. When the dance brought them together again, her face was flushed with something like triumph. He looked right at me, and he didn't see. You're remarkable. The dance ended, and Merrick was suddenly there. Your Grace, I don't believe I've had the pleasure of meeting your companion. Every muscle in Corvin's body tensed. Mrs. Vera Ashford, she said, curtsying with precise depth. A pleasure, my lord. Marek studied her face. Ashford, a relation of the Duke's. My late husband's family. I'm visiting for the season. Have we met before? Your face seems familiar. I'm quite certain we haven't. I've spent my life far from foreign courts. And yet you have a certain bearing, almost regal. My mother was strict about deportment. Marek's eyes narrowed. Then Lady Margot appeared, drawing him away with determined grace. Breathe, Corvin murmured. I am breathing. You're shaking. She looked at her hands wrapped around his arm. He killed Bastian, my youngest brother, 14 years old, and I just smiled at him. You survived. That's what matters. Tamsin appeared, her face pale. We need to leave. Lady Margot is asking pointed questions about where Mrs. Ashford came from, and Lord Marek is listening. They escaped through a service entrance. Back at Thornmere Manor, Vera retreated to her chambers without speaking. Corvin found himself pacing the library at midnight. The letter's words haunted him. Surrender her by midnight, or face the consequences. Midnight had passed. Whatever consequences were coming, they were already in motion. A soft knock interrupted his pacing. Vera entered, still wearing the midnight blue gown, her hair loosened. She looked younger without the elaborate styling. I couldn't sleep, she said. Neither could I. She moved to the window. I need to tell you something. The coup wasn't random. It was orchestrated from outside. Lord Voss was funded and directed by someone in another kingdom. Someone who wanted Valdoria destabilized. Who? I don't know. But my father received intelligence suggesting the conspiracy reached into multiple governments. She paused. Including this one. The implication settled over Corvin like ice. You're saying someone in my kingdom helped murder your family. I'm saying it's possible. Anyone who helps me could be putting themselves in opposition to very powerful people. Corvin crossed to stand before her. When I found my father after his riding accident, he said slowly, the physicians said it was a fall, but his horse came back uninjured. His jaw tightened. My father was the finest horseman in the county. He didn't fall. He was killed. Understanding dawned in her eyes. You think they're connected. I think finding the truth about your family might lead me to the truth about mine. She stared at him. Then her fingers curled around his. We're both hunting ghosts, then. Perhaps. Or perhaps the ghosts are hunting us. I've been alone for so long, Vera said quietly. I'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone stand beside me. You're not alone anymore, aren't I? She pulled her hands free. You know what I was, but you don't know who I am. Then tell me. What do you want to know? Everything. She was silent. Then she began to speak. I dream about my mother's garden. She grew roses, hundreds of them. When I was small, she would take me there before anyone else was awake. She said the roses were like our bloodline, beautiful but thorned, designed to survive. She sounds like a woman worth remembering. When the soldiers came, she put herself between them and the servants' corridor, gave me time to escape. Vera's voice cracked. The last thing I heard her say was my name. Corvin wanted to hold her. What else? He asked instead. I love thunderstorms. I hate fish, but pretend to enjoy it at diplomatic dinners. I once scandalized the court by beating the Valdorian champion at chess. You play chess? I play everything. We have a chess set in the East Wing. Is that an invitation? It's a challenge. For the first time, Vera laughed. A real laugh, transforming her face. You'll lose, she warned. I'll enjoy the attempt. I have something for you, he said. He disappeared into his study and returned carrying a small wooden box. This belonged to my mother. My father kept it. He said it gave him courage. He opened the box to reveal a delicate silver bracelet set with moonstones. He said it reminded him that love survives everything. Corvin, I can't accept this. You came here with nothing. This isn't charity. It's acknowledgement. Of what? That you're not alone. That someone sees you, not the queen, not the fugitive, but you. Her eyes glistened. Slowly, she extended her wrist. Corvin fastened the bracelet, hyper-aware of the warmth of her skin. There. Now you have something of your own. They stood close enough that he could smell her perfume. Her gray eyes lifted to meet his, and he saw the same longing coursing through his own veins. We should sleep, Vera whispered. Yes. Neither moved. Corvin! A crash from somewhere in the house shattered the moment. Corvin was already moving toward the door. In the hallway, Barlow stood pale-faced before a shattered window. Cold night air poured through, carrying the smell of smoke. Your Grace, the stables. Someone set fire to the stables. The consequences had arrived. The fire consumed the stables with terrifying speed. Corvin reached the burning structure first, shouting orders through the smoke. Servants formed bucket brigades. The stable hands escaped, pulling panicked horses into the courtyard before the roof collapsed. By dawn, nothing remained but smoldering timbers. A message, Tamsin said grimly. They want you to know they can reach you. Corvin watched Vera, who stood apart, her face pale. The midnight gown was ruined now, streaked with soot. This is my fault, she said. I have to leave. Tonight. No. They'll escalate. First the stables, then the house, then the people inside. Running won't stop them. They've already marked this household. The only way forward is through. Through to what? More destruction? Tears tracked through the soot on her cheeks. I've watched everyone I love die. I won't watch it happen again. Then help me fight them. Help me find the network that killed your family and mine. She stared at him, her stormy gaze probing for doubt. You're asking me to trust you with my life. I'm asking you to trust me with more than that. His voice dropped, rough with emotion. I'm asking you to believe that whatever this is between us is real. I don't know what this is. Neither do I, but I know I haven't felt this alive in 3 years. I know that when you walked down those stairs, I forgot how to breathe. This is madness, Vera whispered. Yes. Your reputation, your family, mean nothing if I spend them alone. Corvin cupped her face. I'm asking for right now. For the chance to discover what we could be. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they held decision. You'll regret this, she said softly. I already regret nothing." She rose onto her toes and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first. Then something ignited, and gentle became desperate. He pulled her closer, one hand tangled in her hair. She clung to him like he was the only solid thing in a world gone mad. When they broke apart, the eastern sky was lightening. "We should go inside," Vera murmured. "Corvin." Tamsin's voice cut through, sharp with alarm. "Riders approaching. Fast!" They sprang apart. Dust clouds announced multiple horses moving at dangerous speed. "Get inside," Corvin told Vera. "The priest's hole in the east wing. Tamsin knows where. I won't hide while you— If they take you, everything we've risked means nothing. Please." She hesitated. Then she nodded and ran. The riders arrived in thunder. 12 men in military formation, led by Aldrin Marek. "Your Grace, we need to speak. You've already burned my stables. What more is there to discuss?" "That wasn't us, though it simplified complications." Marek gestured. "Search the house. Our intelligence confirms the Valdorian fugitive is here." "Your intelligence is wrong." "Is it? I saw her at the ball. I didn't recognize her then, but I've since received detailed descriptions." Marek produced a sealed document. Permission to search any property suspected of harboring enemies of the Valdorian state. Signed by your own foreign minister. Someone in his own government had authorized this. Search then. You'll find nothing. As Marek's men spread through the property, Corvin prayed the priest's hole was as hidden as his grandfather had promised. The search lasted 6 hours. Marek's men tore through every room, upending furniture, ripping apart beds. They found nothing. But Marek wasn't satisfied. "Bring the servants. Question them separately." The interrogations were brutal. Ms. White, Hatchley emerged white-faced. Barlow had blood on his lip. Alice was carried out unconscious. Through it all, Corvin maintained composure, knowing any distress would confirm suspicions. Finally, Marek approached with something new. The Moonstone bracelet. Found this in a guest chamber. Beautiful craftsmanship. And the Moonstones. They're Valdorian. Corvin's heart stopped. It belonged to my mother. A gift from a Valdorian dignitary years ago. Vera must have removed the bracelet before entering the priest's hole, hoping to avoid any noise or detection that might give away her position. "How convenient." Marek tucked it away. "I'll be back, Your Grace, with more men. With legal writs that strip away whatever protections you believe you have." He leaned closer. "She's here. I can smell it." The moment they vanished, Corvin ran. The priest's hole was empty. "She's gone," Tamsin said. "She left during the 3rd hour. Said she wouldn't watch more people suffer." Her voice was hollow. "She left a letter." Corvin opened it with numb fingers. "Corvin, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Please don't try to find me. What happened between us was beautiful and impossible. But I cannot let you die for me. You asked me to trust you, and I do. But trust isn't enough to outweigh the certainty that everyone who helps me meets destruction. The bracelet, I removed it before hiding, hoping they wouldn't find it. Leaving it felt like leaving a piece of my heart. Find the truth about your father. That's how you honor what we might have been. Don't follow me. Forever yours. Vera." The letter crumpled in his fist. "Barlow, saddle the fastest horse we have left. Your Grace, the stable. There must be something. The gray mare, sir, but it's nearly dark. I don't care." He remembered something she'd told him in the library. "My father said allies might still exist. If anything happened, we were supposed to make contact through a specific location. The Thornwick Ruins, an ancient monastery 30 miles north, abandoned for centuries. I know where she's going." The gray mare ran like her life depended on it. Corvin pushed through darkness, navigating by moonlight, racing against time, and the certainty that Marek would reach the same conclusion. Dawn was breaking when he reached the ruins. Thornwick Monastery had been magnificent once. Now it was little more than crumbling walls, nature reclaiming what humanity had abandoned. "Vera? I know you're here." Silence. Then, "You shouldn't have come." She emerged from behind a crumbling archway, still wearing the ruined midnight gown. She looked like a wraith. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "You left without saying goodbye," he said. "I left a letter." "A letter is cowardice dressed up in pretty words. I was protecting you. You were running. Again." He stepped closer. "And I understand why. But running isn't protection. It's just a slower form of death." "And staying is faster?" Her voice cracked. "They burned your stables. They beat your servants. Then let them." The words stopped her cold. "If losing everything is the price of standing with you, I'll pay it." "Gladly." Corvin closed the distance, taking her hands. "My father spent his life protecting his property, his position. In the end, none of it protected him. He died alone. Corvin, I don't want to preserve anything anymore. I want to live. I want to stand next to someone worth standing with." He cupped her face. "You are worth everything I have." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You don't know what you're saying." "I love you." The words fell like stones into still water. "You can't," she whispered. "I can. I do. Unless you tell me you feel nothing, I'm not leaving without you." She was silent. Then her hands rose to cover his. "I feel everything. That's what terrifies me." "Then be terrified together. Let me carry half the weight. And if we both fall, then we fall together." She kissed him, fierce and desperate. When they broke apart, the sun had risen. "The contact point is in the crypt," Vera said. "If my father's allies are still active, they'll have left instructions." "Then let's find them." Together. Hand in hand, they descended into the darkness. The crypt was cold, filled with the scent of centuries-old stone. Corvin's lantern revealed rows of ancient sarcophagi. "There." Vera pointed to an altar. "The seventh stone from the left." When Corvin pried it free, he found a metal box containing documents, coins bearing an unfamiliar seal, and a letter addressed to the last of House Serene. Vera's hands trembled as she opened it. "Daughter of my heart, if you are reading this, the worst has happened. But you survived, as I always knew you would. The allies I have cultivated remain loyal. Lord Castellan of Ardenmoor commands forces faithful to House Serene. Lady Myron of the Coastlands controls the naval routes. Within Valdoria itself, pockets of resistance await only the signal. That signal is you. Trust no one who cannot provide the phrase, 'The serpent sleeps, but the star remembers.' I love you, my daughter. Make them pay for what they've taken. Your father." Always, Vera clutched the letter to her chest, tears streaming. "He planned for this. Even while dying, he was protecting me." Corvin wrapped his arms around her, letting her sob. When the storm passed, something new appeared in her expression. Resolve. "I'm done running. I'm done hiding. I want to take back my kingdom." "That's a war you're describing." "Yes," she took his hands. "And I'm asking you to fight it with me. Not because I need protection, but because I don't want to be alone anymore. Because I love you, Corvin Ashford. You're asking me to commit treason against my own government. I'm asking you to choose. It wasn't really a choice at all. I choose you," he said. "Today, tomorrow, every day." She kissed him, soft and certain. "Then we fight. Together." As they climbed back toward light, voices echoed from above. Marek had found them. 8 men spread through the ruins, weapons drawn. "I knew you'd come here," Marek called. "Did you really think Voss's intelligence wouldn't know about the Thornwick contact point?" Corvin pulled Vera behind a column. 8 men, One pistol. Go. The western passage leads to the forest. I'm not leaving you. I said no. I've lost everyone I loved by running. I won't lose you the same way. Merrick's voice drawled closer. The fugitive queen and her lovesick duke. How touching. Corvin rose, pistol leveled at Merrick's chest. Come closer and find out how lovesick I really am. One shot. 8 men. But my one shot goes through your skull. Are you willing to die so Voss can have his prize? Hesitation flickered, then hardened. Take them. Corvin fired. The shot caught the lead soldier in the shoulder. The others kept coming. He drew his sword, a gentleman's blade, not meant for real combat. But Vera wasn't running. She hurled fallen masonry at the man flanking Corvin. The stone dropped him instantly. I told you, she said, grabbing a rusted sword. I'm not leaving. They fought back to back. Corvin took a cut across his arm. Vera received a glancing blow to her ribs, but they held. Then Merrick himself joined the fight. He was skilled and fresh where they were exhausted. His blade found every opening. This was how it ended. In ruins. In blood. Then the thunder came. Not from the sky, from the road. Hoofbeats. Dozens. The serpent sleeps, but the star remembers. Riders poured through the ruins, bearing the 7-pointed star, overwhelming Marik's soldiers. Within moments, it was over. A silver-haired woman dismounted. Your Majesty, Lord Castellan sent us. We've been watching for your signal. Vera stared, overwhelmed. The signal was sent, Corvin said. We're ready to fight. The woman studied him. You're the Duke of Thornmere. Your father was a friend to Valdoria. He was, and his son intends to finish what he started. Then welcome to the Resistance. Vera approached Marik, where he knelt in chains. You killed my brother, 14 years old. His lip curled. He died squealing. Her slap echoed off the stones. You'll stand trial for every crime, and when the sentence is passed, remember this moment. The serpent should have stayed sleeping. She walked away without looking back. The queen had returned. 6 months later, the throne room of Valdoria's royal palace had been restored. Blood scrubbed from marble floors. Tapestries depicting House Serrane's history hung once again. And on the ancient throne, Queen Vera sat in robes of midnight blue and silver, the crown of her ancestors gleaming on her dark hair. The war had been shorter than expected. Voss had made enemies everywhere. When loyalist forces marched on the capital, half the army switched sides. Voss himself was captured at the border, clutching gold and begging for mercy. He received none. The trial exposed the full extent of the conspiracy, including 3 foreign ministry officials from Corvin's own kingdom who had facilitated the coup. They now awaited their own trials for treason. Today was not about justice. Today was about something else. Lords and ladies of Valdoria, Vera announced, we gather to celebrate not an ending, but a beginning. She extended her hand toward Corvin, who climbed to meet her in formal attire, bearing both his family's crest and the 7-pointed star. 6 months ago, a man paid 5 coins to purchase me at a debtor's auction. He thought he was buying a servant. Instead, he bought himself a war, a conspiracy, and more trouble than any sensible person would tolerate. Laughter rippled through the crowd. He could have surrendered me to my enemies. Instead, he fought beside me, believed in me when I had forgotten how to believe in myself. Her eyes met his. Today, I ask him to do something far more terrifying than any battle. She took his hands. Corvin Ashford, Duke of Thornmere, will you marry me? The question echoed through the throne room. He smiled. I would follow you into any darkness. I would fight any enemy. But a lifetime by your side isn't sacrifice. It's the greatest gift anyone has ever offered me. He raised her hand to his lips. Yes. 1,000 times. Yes. The throne room erupted. Vera pulled him into a kiss. Scandalous, triumphant, and perfect. Behind them, Tamsin dabbed at her eyes, while pretending she wasn't crying, already mentally planning the celebration feast. Later, they stood on a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The roses were blooming. "My mother would have loved you," Vera said softly. "I don't argue. I provide alternative perspectives." She laughed, the same warm laugh that had first cracked through her composure in the library at Thornmere. "You know," Corvin said, "I never did get my 5 coins back. Consider them a down payment on everything that followed. The war, the conspiracy, the near-death experiences, the love, the purpose, the family we'll build." He pulled her close. "Worth every coin," he murmured. In the gardens below, a nightingale sang. Tonight, it sounded like a beginning. 1 year later, the auction at Gresham's Crossing was different this month. Royal guards surrounded the platform. A crimson banner bearing the 7-pointed star hung from every post. Instead of debtors being sold, the auctioneer read a proclamation. "By order of Queen Vera I and King Consort Corvin of Valdoria, debtor servitude is hereby abolished throughout the realm. All persons held in bonded service are immediately freed. All debts leading to bondage are forgiven." The crowd listened in stunned silence. Furthermore, a fund has been established to assist those affected. Housing, education, and employment assistance will be provided. In a carriage at the edge, Vera watched through a gap in the curtains. Corvin held her hand, their fingers intertwined over the gentle swell of her belly. "You're thinking about that day," he said. "I'm thinking about how easily it could have ended differently. Fate. I prefer luck. Call it whatever you like. The result is the same." He kissed her hand. "We found each other." Outside, the crowd cheered. Former debtors embraced families. Children laughed. 5 coins, Vera murmured. "That's what started this. Best investment I ever made." She smiled, watching freedom spread across faces of people who had been forgotten. "The serpent sleeps," she said softly, "but the star remembers." Together, they turned toward home.